In a defamation lawsuit, a plaintiff must prove that you made a statement with actual malice to hold you liable for defamation. If a viable defense is available, you may be able to get a defamation lawsuit dismissed early in the proceedings or negotiate a favorable settlement. We'll get to that.
Mark, let's see if we can't sort this out, shall we? On screen right now up here, I have a PDF of a cease and desist letter. This was sent to perhaps the most famous flat earther in the world, Mark Sargent. Now, you might be asking yourself, how have I got the actual PDF? Well, the answer to that is Mark Sargent emailed it me. Yeah, he didn't ask who I was or why I wanted it, but he emailed it me anyway, so you know, we've got it. And it doesn't seem to be bothering him. The prospect of almost being sued to him doesn't seem to be a problem.
Let's break down the defamation side here really quick, guys, which is defamation means that you have to prove malice, that I wanted to destroy you. I absolutely do not wish, and I have said this in how many interviews, because I got into flat earth, I will never do anything malicious to anyone ever again.
Now, you know, if I make a video in the middle of the week, that it's not going to be my normal style video. My normal videos come out on a Sunday. I've obviously seen something that I think I want to respond to quickly, and that's what this is going to be. It's going to be very different to my normal stuff. Anyway, having said that, Flat Earth is a horrible community. We've seen it over and over again. The vitriol that they show anybody who questions what they've got to say, and the ignorance in which they say what they have to say. And it appears that this ignorance doesn't just extend to physics and science, but also other matters as well. Just simple common courtesy, perhaps. Now, Mark Sargent has received a cease and desist letter from ex-Flat Earthers Robbie Davidson, Patricia Steer and Paul on the Plane. Allegedly, he's been making some accusations about them that they're not happy with. And like I said a second ago, he's not too bothered because, firstly, he hasn't made these statements with malice.
But you have to prove malice, that I wanted to destroy you.
No, I'm no attorney, but it didn't take me long to do a bit of research and find out that malice in US defamation law also means a reckless disregard for the truth. It's not just about wanting to upset or hurt somebody. Now, two questions. The first one goes to Mark Sargent. Do you think that it would be classed as a reckless disregard for the truth to make defamatory statements with no evidence whatsoever other than your own pure speculation? And number two, again, to Mark Sargent, have you ever admitted to making statements that are simply just speculation?
I mean, I don't want to be confrontational or whatever, but you're throwing around a lot of accusations here about these people getting paid off with absolutely no proof that they've been paid off. Besides Patricia Steer buying a new car. So let's dial it back. I don't want to fucking
It's absolutely speculation. And, you know, but I love catering to the court of public opinion.
Now, this is all going to need some context, but first, this video would not be possible without the Binnall of America podcast. Don't worry, this isn't a sponsorship. They recently interviewed Mark Sargent and they allowed me to use some of their material in this video. Now, the podcast is amazing and I highly, highly recommend it. If you like the old Art Bell Coast to Coast AM stuff, or if you like listening to the Jim Harold podcast, or if you used to like listening to the Almost Unbelievable podcast that myself and Ranty did, well, this is way better than anything I've ever done. It's a fantastic podcast and I've linked the YouTube channel and the webpage in the description. Please go check them out. Anyway, let's move on. Oh, and Mark, if you are watching, there's no collusion here. I don't want to ruin your relationship with the people behind this podcast. I simply asked, can I use some material from your podcast? They said yes. They're not in on the content of this video at all. I said earlier on this video is going to be different to my normal content, and it is. I'm going to be far less sarcastic. In fact, I genuinely am this time, because this is serious. We have three people here who have managed to pull themselves away from a cult. They've seen some evidence that has been brought back from Antarctica that has helped them change their mind, and they've gone. The Flat Earth community just needs to let them go, but instead it seems that some sort of conspiracy is being built around it, a conspiracy that's obviously upsetting the three of them. And it's just not being let go. Let's have a look at accusation number one. Accusation number one is that Paul, Robbie and Patricia have committed something called SEC violations in relation to, I believe it's a cryptocurrency called Axion. Now, accusing somebody of what I assume is some kind of criminal act is quite serious. So can Mark Sargent prove it?
Alleging that my clients committed SEC violations related to Axion. Can I prove they committed SEC violations? No, I cannot.
But if he can't prove it, at any point in the past, has he implied that they've been involved in something illegal?
In their case, by the way, there's a wonderful little thing I could give you, the Axion disclosure thing, where they said, oh, by the way, they closed it down 4 years ago because they realized they were doing something illegal. That case is still open.
Now, for the record, I don't believe any of the allegations that you're going to hear in this video made towards Robbie, Paul, or Patricia. In fact, I just wish them the best. I'm really happy for them that they're out of the Flat Earth cult, and I'm really, really sad that they've got to deal with what they're dealing with at the minute from the Flat Earth community. And I also really want Mark Sargent to make the right decision on this situation. You'll see later on what his reaction is, but I would find no pleasure in him suffering great loss because of this. Anyway, let's have a look at accusation number 2. Accusation number 2 is that the three of them lost large sums of money in relation to this Axion, and then were therefore desperate for funds. But did Mark ever really imply that?
Paul and Patricia and Robbie, you got to remember, they were part of a crypto coin thing that died some years ago. They lost their shirts on it.
Now, I'm not American. Maybe that term means something else over there. But over here, if you lose your shirt on something, then literally you have nothing left.
They sunk a whole bunch of money into it. And, you're not supposed to get high in your own supply, especially with crypto. And they invested heavily, and it just gone. It's wiped out.
And if you did make accusations that they were desperate for funds, did you also make accusations that they were so desperate that they wanted to sell out to, I don't know, the first people who approached them?
Is this just a monetary thing? Again, the three people, Paul and Robbie and Patricia, because they lost their asses on crypto and they wanted to make up, what they did. And it's like, okay, we'll sell out to whatever think tank approaches us.
And this all feeds into the third accusation, that they were pressured by authorities into renouncing their flat earth beliefs. And like I said before, these are, of course, alleged accusations, maybe based off things like this.
Everybody they went after, in this case, we'll just say the top 5, were all in financial trouble. And they needed the money. And look, short version, it's not a mass exodus. Look, they were flipped. You want the definition of shill? There it is.
Now, I understand that Jaron isn't named on this cease and desist letter, but he does form a lot of the conversation in this podcast. Again, under a kind of similar vein.
Short version, Jaron was flipped with monetary concerns. Was he absolutely bought? Yeah, in my opinion, absolutely 100% bought. The question is for how much and by who.
Now, there were other accusations that were alleged on this document, such as Patricia Steele receiving a car to turn away from Flat Earth, and Robbie Davison accepting a lot of money from celebrity figures solely for the purpose of them dunking on Flat Earth. But I'm not going to go too much into those. What I want to see now is what Mark Sargent's reaction is.
If you want, there was an exec that I worked with years ago, an older mentor, and he always told me, he said, you either sue someone or you don't. You don't threaten to sue. Threatening means nothing. You blindside people. You go straight into it. This whole thing, this is just to rattle your average person. If you ever get a cease and desist letter, just use it to line your birdcage. As a matter of fact, mine, just, I'm not even going to take it out of the FedEx. What's the point? Anyone wants this, by the way? You can email me. I'm Sargent23. I'm taking offers, and by that I mean interesting trades. You got some, trade me like a samurai sword for it.
Now, my advice to Mark Sargent, and again, I'm not an attorney, is that you do take this cease and desist letter seriously. If you ignore one, it can seriously weaken your position. If you do a live stream in which you mock it and then offer to give it to people in exchange for a samurai sword, and then email it to random people like me, it might weaken your position. But also, you've got to be aware that this cease and desist was sent to you by an attorney. And again, it doesn't really take much research to find out that if an attorney is going to write a cease and desist letter, they must believe the civil claim is based on merit in relation to the law. They can't do this based on unfounded claims. Now, I've looked up this law firm who sent you the cease and desist letter, and they are 100% legit. There is no way they would have sent you this cease and desist letter if they thought there wasn't something substantial to it. Now, as far as damage to reputation goes, all you have to do is click on, for example, a single post by Robbie Davison, and you will see countless posts of people calling them sellouts and shills, and even referencing Axion. Now, I know what the flat earth community is like, and if I found that number of comments just on a single post, think how many there are out there underneath all those YouTube videos. I'm sure the lawyers, the attorneys will be collecting that information now. Now, obviously, Mark, I know the flat earth community, and I know that all of those won't be down to you. Maybe none of them will be down to you. Heck, I don't know what's going through flat earthers' minds. It confuses me and amuses me, if I'm honest. But in a court, do you think you could successfully convince somebody that actually these comments have nothing to do with you whatsoever? That's perhaps something for you to decide. Now, Robbie, Patricia and Paul made 3 demands. I think they're extremely reasonable. The first one simply being, please stop repeating these statements. And here is how Mark responded to that.
It's not going to happen. I am going to keep talking about this moving forward. If you want to throw me in jail, please try to do it. I would love to see you try. You will turn this into a circus. And the best part about it is you're going to end up paying for it while you're doing it.
The second demand is that Mark removed all the online content where these accusations have allegedly been made. He didn't seem too happy with that either. And the third demand is that he issued an apology to remain on his YouTube channel. And here's how he responded to that.
What? That can't be done. In fact, that would make the national feed for Are You Kidding Me? Even suggesting it is unbelievable, because how would you qualify something like that? How would you qualify an apology video? How many versions of an apology video could be sent? By the way, and that's one of the things you're never, ever supposed to do on the internet is apologize for anything.
I mean, you just say sorry. Yeah, it's not difficult. Mark, one of my favorite YouTubers this week has been absolutely rinsed. He has lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in a defamation suit. These things can be extremely expensive. And one of the problems he had is that he doubled down after making the accusations. He refused to apologize, and he kept aggravating the person that he defamed. The best thing, the grown-up thing to do, and I know I don't know any of you personally, and you would be well within your rights to tell me to just F off, but I'm feeling charitable today. The best thing anybody can do in this situation from the flat earth community is just let Robbie, Patricia and Paul go on the way and leave the community. That's where they want to be. They want to be happy. They want to be alone. You can crack on making your flat earth content, and you can do it without dragging people back into it. And that way, all you've got to do is make an apology video and remove a couple of videos and stop talking about them. It doesn't cost you a penny. They have been extremely reasonable. Do you really want to roll the dice and then look back in 6 months or 12 months or however long it takes and think, that was my chance to be reasonable and I blew it? I really hope not. I genuinely have got all of your best interests at heart. Strange that, isn't it? Like, because usually I'm a dick, but anyway, see ya.